Okay, this is Federalist 28, Part 2. One of the other important things about this Federalist is that Hamilton actually tells people that if either one of the governments, whether your state government or your federal government, wants to take away your liberty, take away your freedoms, and crush you, what you can do is what the Declaration of Independence of the United States says. You can stand up and fight the government. That is your duty. That is your fundamental right. It's as if you've just gone back to the beginning. So this is one of the Federalist Papers that he just directly says that. And we will see it here in a little bit. But at first, he's going to talk about that the use of force is going to be necessary in times of insurrection, whether we have divided the 13 states into 3 or 4 confederacies, or however way you look at it. Because there are some people who don't want the national government, who don't want the 13 states to unite. If you remember, we've talked about it. So they say we want to make 3 or 4 confederacies. He says, even if you were to make 3 or 4 confederacies, you would still need a small professional force to put down insurrections, to put down rebellions. So either way, you will need that. So if you're criticizing for what we are saying, don't, because you will end up doing the same thing. Okay, let me continue reading. Let us pursue this examination in another light. Suppose in lieu of a general system, instead of a one federal government, 2 or 3 or even 4 confederacies were to be formed. Would not the same difficulty oppose itself to the operations of either of these confederacies? Would not each of them be exposed to the same casualties, and when these happened, be obliged to have recourse to the same expedients for upholding its authority, which are objected to a government for all the states? Would the militia in this supposition be more ready or more able to support the federal authority than in the case of a general union? All candid and intelligent men must, upon due consideration, acknowledge that the principle of the objection is equally applicable to either of the 2 cases, and that whether we have one government for all the states or different governments for different parcels of them, or as many unconnected governments as there are states, there might sometimes be a necessity to make use of a force constituted differently from the militia to preserve the peace of the community and to maintain the just authority of laws against those violent invasions of them which amount to insurrection or rebellions. So even if we have 4 confederacies, you'll still need a professional force, a small force, because militias are not going to be able to take care of the problem. Independent of all other reasonings upon the subject, it is a full answer to those who require a more peremptory provision against military establishments in time of peace, to say that the whole power of the proposed government is to be in the hands of the representatives of the people. This is the essential and, after all, the only efficacious security for the rights and privileges of the people which is attainable in civil society. So from here on out, from this paragraph on out, he will echo what the Declaration of Independence says, the very beginning, that it is a right of the people to stand up and change their governments when the government is no longer securing their freedoms and their liberty and their life. So let's read it. If the representatives of the people betray their constituents, there is then no resource left but in the exertion of that original right of self-defense. He's talking about the Declaration of Independence that says people have a duty to rise up, which is paramount to all positive forms of government, which any good government, to establish a good government, you should have this right. It just comes without saying that when they want to take away your freedoms, when they want to enslave you, it is your duty to rise up. And which against the usurpations of the national rulers may be exerted with infinitely better prospect of success than against those of the rulers of an individual state. In a single state, if the person entrusted with supreme power becomes usurper, the different parcels, subdivisions, or districts of which it consists, having no distinct government in each, can take no regular measures for defense. The citizens must rush tumultuously to arms without concert, without system, without resource, except in their courage and despair. The usurpers, clothed with the form of legal authority, can too often crush the opposition in embryo. It says when the area of the state or the territory is small, and whoever who wants to be a dictator, authoritarian person, can easily crush people. But he's going to say, because we have an enlarged place, we want to have this republic established amongst 13 states. If a person in one district or even one state goes crazy and wants to take away people's freedoms, the other governments that are still in place have a better chance of communicating with one another, organizing, and standing up to the rebellion. Whereas if you're in a small place, because you have trusted your government, you have not made preparations to stand up to the would-be tyrant. So he says, even if you look at it like this, a union is much better than 13 different countries or 3 or 4 confederacies. The smaller the extent of territory, the more difficult will it be for the people to form a regular or systematic plan of opposition. And the more easy will it be to defeat their early efforts. Intelligence can be more speedily obtained of their preparations and movements, and the military force in the possession of the usurpers can be more rapidly directed against the part where the opposition has begun. In this situation, there must be a peculiar coincidence of circumstance to ensure success to the popular resistance. So again, it's better to unite the 13 states, have a small professional force, and this way we can grow strong together, and foreign powers will not take advantages of us, and take advantage of our resources, because if we stand together, we will make them treat us fairly when it comes to trade, because we're strong, they can't take advantage of us. And we will all prosper and future generations will be grateful for that.